Fresno State's big win over the Utah State Aggies. The Bulldogs looking good. We're going to recap it. Big show for you today. Let's do it. Hello, Red Wave. Welcome to Beware Bulldogs podcast. My name is Caleb Nale. Joining me, host of the show. He is the main guy. He's the man in charge. If you have any questions, ask him, my friend, Caleb Pletz. Mr. Pletz, how was the weekend? We had Bulldog football on a Friday night. I didn't know what to do with myself Saturday night. So as everyone gets in here, tell me, how was the weekend, man?
Weekend was nice. Thankfully, well, depends how you look at it. I did have a wedding on Saturday, so I was very thankful for this Friday night kickoff because that saved me. So I was able to watch the game in its entirety. So that was good. Wedding was a lot of fun. One of my good friends got married out actually in your neck of the woods at Moravia. So it was really nice night. But yeah, I was definitely glad that the Dogs won and that I was able to watch the game, and the fall weddings did not disrupt that.
I'm happy as well that you got to watch it, and all these fall weddings didn't happen to us this year. We're a little bit older now where either our friends are going to be single for some time longer or they're already married. So it was What's up, everybody? Chris is here. Robert's here. Bob's here. If you are in the chat, say hi. The rule is, what are you enjoying? I have a Givali Zinfandel tonight. And where are you watching from? And we're going to get going on this. I think that's the only rule in the chat. Otherwise, just have a good time. Let's do this thing. Bob's already starting off. Did you see Boise State Donks collapse? I did. And that was great. They blew a 2-touchdown lead, I believe. And Colorado State connected on a Hail Mary. I don't know. It was a good time. Diet Pepsi for Rob from home. All right, Caleb, we're going to get into numbers, but first, we got to get to all you guys first and your responses. So you can follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and that's at Beware_Bulldogs. We're on Instagram, Beware Bulldogs Podcast. We're also on YouTube, Beware Bulldogs. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that you do on Twitter. And as I pull up X, formerly known as Twitter, Real Fresno State Fans has another win, 6-1. We're going bowling, so it's official. The Dogs will be in a bowl game. The only question is which one. I'm hoping it's wherever the Mountain West Championship is picked, or a New Year's Six bowl, because it's still on the table. Caleb, tell me, and maybe you guys know in the chat, James Madison is still undefeated. They're in the Sun Belt right now. Can they go to a bowl game? I heard that they still can't go to a bowl game this year.
Yeah, I think that they're still on like some sort of probationary period for making the jump to FBS, which seems so ridiculous because they're a really good team, and so yeah, I think that's going to be kind of disappointing for them. But as far as I'm aware, I think it is still on the table. But Fresno State needs to win the conference championship, and probably get some help along the way. I know that Tulane was also up there in Group of 5 land, but I think that they had a loss recently too. So I'm not fully
the highest ranked G5 team though.
Okay,
according to the AP poll, from what I looked at. Bye week time, and he felt like the Aggie players had some dirty players. We're going to get to that. We'll touch on all that. Kevin, I thought we were going to lose going into the game, so I'm ecstatic getting a dub going into the bye week. Hey, you keep your expectations low, you'll always be pleasantly surprised. That's the rule, right? Fife and Malik Sherrod played well. We really, really need to figure out defense. Let's talk about that. Defense is supposed to be the strong suit. Now, I will say this. We are banged up beyond belief. Lavelle wasn't 100%. We know Cam Lockridge is out. Dean Clark didn't look 100% this game. There's something going on, and I think it's injuries. But, tell me what you think about this defense after this game. We gave up quite a bit of points. Granted, Utah State offense, very explosive, very good.
Yeah, I do think we do need to give credit to Utah State offense because their three top receivers are very good, and when their quarterback Legat actually puts the ball where it's supposed to go, then this is a really good offense. So I think that is the first part of the equation here. Is this was a good offense, and Fresno State did just enough to hang around and get a late touchdown to go ahead. So. But a lot of injuries. I think that missing Isaiah Johnson on the defensive line is also making a difference too, because it's another week where not a ton of pressure. I think that there was a couple sacks. I know that Jacob Holmes had, I think, 2 sacks on the night, which actually puts him in the lead for the team on the season, which is kind of funny as more of a reserve defensive lineman. But I think that missing him and having Dean Clark, he seems a little slow, and I think missing Lavelle Bailey was also big this game. But we did see Phoenix Jackson come in and have 10 tackles on the night and really look like he is a capable linebacker, especially in Lavelle's absence. So I think that was kind of a bright side that we did see in terms of guys stepping up.
Yeah, and guys are forced to step up. I was watching Tedford's press conference, and he was talking about more on the offensive side, but I think it's the same thing on the defensive side. Guys have been forced to step up. They're playing well. They did what they had to win the game. Of course, us couch coaches are always going to expect, or I would say Red Wave in general, we're going to expect, our expectations are going to be high. So we're going to be a little bit more on top of them. Chris says the secondary gave up big plays. Bob mentioned, short week. So one of the things is we talked about is Alzillian Hamilton last week coming in for Cam Lockridge, gave up some plays against Wyoming, good Wyoming team. And you're going to give up plays against Utah State because they're very explosive, quick, slippery. We missed a lot of tackles. I think I text you during the game. I'm thinking we need to sign up our DBs for marriage counseling communication classes, because you could see sometimes there's some miscommunications going on. And, we might as well sign up the O-line. It's good. I did it with my wife twice. Not that we're struggling, but it was just recommended, and we loved it. So we did it twice. It helps a lot. So maybe the marriage counseling communication classes, that's key.
Yeah. And I think I'll defend Alzillian a little bit here, because I do think he played better this game, and that there was just a lot of really good plays made by the Utah State wide receivers and really good throws from Legat too. So I did see some improvement from him, but there's also a handful of dropped interceptions where and I think Johnson also dropped 1 or 2 where that definitely could have changed the course of the game too if we were able to get a couple more takeaways. But overall, just a tough. Oh, and the tackling on I think it was one of the first half touchdowns where Dean Clark just completely whiffed, like he was coming in support to I can't remember. It was like the 50-yard touchdown play that Utah State had. And Dean Clark just completely whiffed and could have cleaned it all up, but the guy breaks the tackle and takes it 50 yards for a touchdown. So definitely still plenty of room for improvement on the secondary.
It's learning experience. Bob said trial by fire when it comes to Alzillian Hamilton. Sometimes that's the best way to learn, and you'll get the most out of certain people. So it's going to be fun. Let's keep going. Curtis also says, I feel like the defense has been hyped all season, but seem to be very susceptible to letdowns at any point in a game. Single-use plastic. Logan looks way more polished this year. Filling in, offense needs to focus more and more on Watson. He's such a force and virtually unguardable in the red zone. All right. The big topic around Fresno State, Caleb, and I wrote this down, is obviously quarterback position. Logan Fife gets the start, plays the entire game. Mikey King did dress and warmed up, but he didn't play at all. I enjoyed what I saw from Logan Fife. I think early on he rolled out, should have thrown it away. We can nitpick certain things, but he had a pretty good game. You can see the growth that he's had from last year. I'm excited for Logan Fife. I'm happy he got the win. What's your thought on Logan Fife? Also, you said something last week about him running the ball, so we got to touch on that too. But overall thoughts on Fife?
Yeah, I think, probably the biggest statistic was turnovers, and he had a 0 in that column. So first off, I mean, yeah, that's a huge step in the right direction for Logan. And he seemed a lot more confident this game. And, there was a couple throws where he was not accurate. And I think that's one of the main, differences between, Keene and Fife is, Keene is for the most part going to be pretty accurate. But with Logan, I mean, I think his arm strength is a little bit better, a little bit wilder. But yeah, he's also able to move. And I mean, we saw a couple key third down conversions from Logan, being able to move around in the pocket and scramble, or move around and let a play develop and find an open receiver. So I was really pleased with what we saw from Logan. And it's going to be tough for Mikey to keep the job, I think. I mean, I don't mean to start a quarterback competition again, but Logan showed like he deserved to be the quarterback here. And I think it's going to be tough for if hopefully Mikey recovers quickly, and UNLV game, homecoming, I would think that Keene would probably get the start if he's healthy, just because he's been, QB1 coming into this season. But, if he comes out and struggles early, I mean, it's going to be tough not to, pull him and go with Logan, just because, he's shown that he's improved off of last season. He's being more careful with the ball. I mean, he led the Dogs to, a victory here, including some really long drives down the field. So I think overall, I'm really happy with how Logan's developed, and also just credit to him for being ready and, being there and being a team player, because, a lot of guys now are just, looking for the next opportunity if, whatever their situation isn't working out for them immediately. So got to give credit for him for, being ready and, stepping up as a leader for this team.
I really liked what I saw from Fife. The maneuverability in the pocket, the ability to throw on the run. We saw it against Wyoming. And this part of the game where he can keep the ball, tuck it, and run and outrun guys. There was one play he ran for a first down, did a little stutter step, and then hit the first down. And it was really nice. I liked what I saw from him. I believe it opens up the playbook a little more with an unhealthy Keene and a Fife that's playing well. You hate to ruin something like that. So I think you're exactly right. Keene has been number one, and Bob made a good point that there's no quarterback controversy with Teddy around. Like, he's going to put his number one guy in, and I have no problem with that. But if Keene struggles, then yeah, there's going to be something to say about Fife coming in and taking that starting job. So I know you don't want to start anything. You definitely did, and I am okay with it. I think the entire red wave. I mean, we had a lot of people over at my house, or family and neighbors over to the house, and I mean, everyone saw it and said it, and I saw it on social media. Everyone was happy with Fife. Granted, I will say this: Utah State defense, nothing like Wyoming defense. Totally different. So you do have that aspect of the game. But yes, I think both of us can say we thoroughly enjoyed Fife, and there is a lot of promise there with Fife playing quarterback. Brandon Dickinson has a question for us. What has to happen other than us winning out to get back into the Mountain West Conference Championship? Wyoming has to lose. They lost to Air Force. So record-wise, we each have one loss, but they have the tiebreaker because they have the head-to-head. So they need to lose again. We need to win out. I think, and I've seen it in the chat, people are talking about UNLV. They're 5-1 right now, I believe. They're looking good. Utah State is a threat. Boise State, Colorado State, all good teams. Mountain West is good this year. Last year, we were talking about the opposite, debating on if the Mountain West was down as a whole. This year, as a whole, very good, fun product on the field. It's no opponent's going to be easy this year.
Yeah, and it's been a couple teams that I think we're probably overlooked at the beginning of the season, especially UNLV. I mean, new coach coming in, we were kind of critical of that, and obviously, we're kind of getting showed up, I guess, with them starting 5-1. So, their offense.
About them. Don't do that.
Right. But yeah, I mean that, and I mean a surprising loss last night by Boise. I mean, hopefully we're seeing just the final demise of Boise State. I think that would be, just lovely to see. And again, Wyoming kind of being a bit of a surprise. I think they were overlooked at the beginning of the season, and then a couple surprising ones at the bottom. I mean, San Jose State really hasn't looked as strong as expected. Same with San Diego State. Two teams that are still on Fresno State's schedule coming up. So definitely opportunities for victories for Fresno State, and yeah, they basically need to be perfect the rest of the way to keep in contention for the conference championship.
Another player that was brought up in that last response was Trey Watson. Mm-hmm. Trey Watson had a field day. We'll get to his numbers in a sec. I've been shouting, and you guys know this, about how no one can guard Trey Watson. We need to use him more almost the entire season. And they keyed in on him. Our offense did. Logan Fife hit him. He had some great catches. Also, Jalen Gill hit him on a actually beautiful pass and a great catch over the shoulder in the back of the end zone. And Trey Watson got crushed, and he held on to it. I loved what I saw from Trey Watson. I think we know that he is a game changer. So what we saw didn't surprise any red waivers. But give me your thoughts, Caleb, on targeting Trey Watson more and his game on Friday.
Yeah, about time. And, it is usually a little bit surprising to see a tight end leading in terms of, receiving stats, 5 receptions for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's a huge game for a tight end. But, yeah, Trey's just dominant. And, he's a reliable target over the middle, which for a quarterback like Logan Fife, where we're trying to, not make him do too much, make the simple throw, going to your tight end who's dependable, I think is, a really good option. And, like you mentioned on the other, touchdown catch from Jalen Gill. I mean, that was he got blasted and he held on to it. And so, yeah, it's just kind of good to see this finally happening. I mean, we've been, promoting Trey Watson for a long time. Even back to last season when I said he was going to be the breakout player. I was a little bit early on that, I think. But overall, yeah, I mean, he's been playing really well, blocking really well too. So, yeah, overall, really, really happy for Trey.
And I saw a little bit of Jake Boust as well. We've been missing that 12-man front, the 2 tight end sets from what I have seen. I could be completely wrong on that, but I like what I see when we game plan 2 tight end sets and the plays we run. We can do a lot more with that. All right. Bulldogs Bob makes a good point. One thing we need to remember, the Dogs don't leave the state of California the rest of the year. Our 2 away games are San Diego State and San Jose State. Not very far. The Red Wave's going to travel. We're going to have a big presence there. And then everybody else we get at home. It's huge. Chris says Gil QB number 3. After that, shoot. We were talking about quarterback competition with Fife and Keene. Throw him in the mix, man.
Yeah, I think Gil's 2 for 2 with 2 touchdowns. So that's a pretty good percentage. And yeah, I mean, I think in an emergency situation, it's good to have, that guy on the roster who can step in. But I don't know if he's taken that away from Mandel quite yet. But it is good to have, some other guys on the roster who are able to step in an emergency situation.
Yeah, if you didn't hear, Mandel was taking some reps with the ones when Keene was out. Logan and Mandel were taking them. Chris, who's in the chat now, he said that the loss of Lockridge hurts secondary is a little concerning. William Logan looked comfortable. Is there maybe a small chance he starts again, even if Mikey is healthy? I do. I think there's a small chance. There's a chance. Rodrigo, defense, big made some plays, but they continue to give QBs a lot of time to throw. And thank you, Rodrigo, for saying that. Our pass rush is still struggling. We knew that was going to happen, but we also knew that Utah State didn't have the greatest offensive line, and we were wondering how we were going to scheme. Are we going to blitz a lot? How are we going to do this? And I don't think we could blitz that much against Utah State because they have weapons everywhere. They spread players out. They use every inch of that field. It was unbelievable watching those wide receivers line up on the sideline. But yeah, I hope for a little bit more of a pass rush. I don't think it was bad. I'm not going to say it was bad, but we want more, obviously. I don't know, Kale, what were your thoughts? We had 3 sacks.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a little bit better than the Wyoming game. I think the Utah State offensive line was probably a weaker group than Wyoming, so I think that helps a little bit. But overall, I think towards the end of the game, we saw more 8-man coverages where Dogs were only rushing 3 guys and just trying to trust the defensive backs to provide good coverage, and for the most part it was there, but yeah, obviously, like we mentioned, there's a couple plays where the Utah State receivers made good plays, but the Dogs need to be able to get a consistent pressure with only 3 or 4 guys rushing, and that's going to be a problem for the rest of the last 5 games now. There's something's going to have to change, and hopefully Isaiah Johnson can be back soon. I think he was dealing with either an ankle or a knee injury, and it didn't seem like it was season ending. So I think getting him back will help, and then I guess just getting more creative with blitzing, because that's been a success point for Fresno State, is kind of getting some safeties coming off the edge to create some extra pressure.
Mm-hmm. Phil R says it was great to see Freeman get involved. We'll get to the wide receiver core, and he says that we need to get the ball in Moss's hands more than they did tonight. The guy is electric. I agree. There was one play, there was a little screen set up for him that he dropped, and if he caught it, he was gone. But we got to catch the ball. There were a lot of drops at this game. Richie Rich, offense performed well, gave up too many big plays though on defense. We had a couple. I think when we first got on to before we hit record, you said the same thing. Like, oh man, glad we got that one. We were up 28-17. Carlton Johnson forced a ball up in the air, and Devo Bridges intercepted it. I thought this is going to be a great time to score some points, separate ourselves. Didn't happen. They get right back in the game after that. Anyway, I'll keep going. This guy, ugly win. We were a little bit soft on defense. Bulldogs aren't winning because of skill, but opponents' mistakes and penalties. Interesting take. I don't know if that guy is no, it's this guy. Sorry. But what are your thoughts on that? They're not winning because of skill, but opponents' mistakes and penalties.
I mean, I think that's part of good coaching on the Fresno State side, that, the penalties were for the most part, limited or controlled on Fresno State side. I think they only had 5 penalties for 50 yards. A couple were declined early in the game because they were like holdings in the, on our own 5-yard line. But I think that comes down to, just good coaching and good execution. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do think that this Fresno State team overall was more skilled than Utah State, just because of, I think our defense was a little bit better. But yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, I closed it, so I don't exactly remember what it was, but I'm getting to the other ones. But I don't know. Oh, opponents' mistakes. I think a lot of it is we scheme guys open. We're looking for Trey Watson. We see the the mismatch on Freeman. We're going to that. But shoot, half of the mistakes that Utah State made, I wouldn't even call them mistakes. I think they were purposely done. We're going to talk about it. Weren't even called. So, and we still won. Vid Rodriguez, too close for comfort. Jacob Westbury, season back on.
Yeah.
Now that we only have one loss, we win that game, we come out with that. There's a couple games that are tough. This conference is tough, like I said, but not all games are going to be like this. There's no offense like this in the Mountain West right now. Maybe San Jose State, but I don't think so. I mean, they played good teams. San Jose State did, but when we get to San Jose State, we'll talk about them. Randy Price says his hands are still shaking. Shout out to Fife, calm and collected out there. Great win. Mr. Reggie De Leon, defense has not played well lately. Dogs should have swapped players more because of altitude. Oh, interesting. We had 2 back-to-back games, high altitude, short week. I saw Bob mention the drops, and maybe it was because of the high elevation. I don't know. I mean, I would hope not. The gloves, when I played football, the gloves were absolutely amazing. You could catch a ball with 3 fingers if you're wearing good sticky gloves. Unbelievable. But anyways, I don't know. Good thing to think about. M. Saul, Sherrod back to healthy. Fife with great poise. Defense with 2 turnovers. Gregor, Logan Fife looked much better than he did a year ago. Mad Mike says sloppy tackling. Fife is not quarterback 1 in my opinion, but he is a good spot starter. Cody Bow. Offensive line finally showed up. Defense looked pretty soft. I was watching our O-line, as I always do each week, and our O-line looked pretty good. I mean, they looked way better. I'll put it that way. They looked way better on Pass Pro this week, as well as our running backs in Pass Pro. What did you think?
Well, and there was a little bit of change personnel-wise. I at least noticed in the second half that Sampson was, in at center. So I think that the announcers had said that he might have been in the whole game at center, but I didn't go back and check early to see if he was in there the whole game. But overall, I think Logan had enough time, to make good throws, and he wasn't really pressured, too heavily, I think. So yeah, overall, it was okay. And, like you mentioned, Sherrod back healthy, I think is a really big deal for this Fresno State team. And, him being able to, hit the faster gear, I think helped a big deal. Because I don't know if Gilliam is able to, break a couple of those longer runs. And, so I think having a fully healthy Sherrod helped with the running game, but also having a mobile quarterback, I think, helped there too. But yeah, overall, back to your question about O-line, I wasn't really yelling at anyone like that. They were, continuously giving up pressure. So usually that's a good sign if no one on the O-line is standing out.
And last but not least, Diego Hunting Slugs says, if Logan Fife is not your player of the game, your podcast is a fraud. All right. We will see. I think there's a lot of good choices for player of the game. We will get there. We're going to run through the numbers right now. But first, to some sponsors. If you guys are looking for some community, you want to strengthen your community, you're looking for a support group, you need prayer, check out the Vine Church in Fresno on Shaw, just west of Grantland. They are meeting Sundays at 10 a.m. The pastor there, Greg Bennett, great guy, speaks biblical truth. The community and the congregation there is welcoming, kind. I tried it out. I still go there. We're having a good time there. So let me know if you're going. That's Sundays, 10 a.m., the Vine Church in Fresno on Shaw, just west of Grantland. Also, if you're looking for flowers, check out Flora Flower Co. Flora Flower Co. is a flower shop who supports local growers, and they also have gifts. So it's your one-stop shop for gifts. You need candles, a diary. They have mugs, lots of cool handmade stuff. head over there. Store hours Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Shepherd and Willow. You can also order your flowers online or come in person. There's a florist there to make your bouquet. Use code Fresno15. That's Fresno, the number 15, for 15% off your purchase. And you can use that in the store as well. So thank you to Flora Flower Co. and the Vine Church for your support. All right, Caleb, let's get to numbers. Logan 5, 22-39, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times. We talked about it a little bit. And then Jalen Gill had the pass. Logan 5 threw it to him backwards. Jalen Gill tossed it to Trey Watson in the end zone. So Jalen Gill was 1 for 1, 19 yards and a tutty. Good for him. Well, we've talked a lot about Logan 5 and the pass, that play from Jalen Gill. I don't know if we need to talk about it too much, but the one thing I want to talk about was you asked me a question last week about Logan 5 rushing for over 50 yards, I believe. He was credited with 34, and then after his sacks, his net total yardage was 21. So unfortunately, he didn't quite get there, but he had 8 carries, or he's credited with 8 carries. I'll take it. For 34 yards, he gained 34 yards on the ground. I like that. I'm all about Logan 5 keeping the ball and running because that is one of his strengths. We need to use that, keep the defense on their toes.
Yeah,
what do
definitely.
you think?
I think our quarterbacks should have positive rushing yards every game, and I mean this might be the first. Like I don't know if Mikey had any positive, rushing games. So, but overall, yeah, key third down pickup. It might have even had 2 where he was able to run for first downs. So, yeah, I think that's a huge weapon, and it is an extra layer that opponents' defense have to look out for. Where Mikey just doesn't provide that wrinkle. So, yeah, overall, really pleased with how well Logan was able to run.
Yeah, a couple of comments from you guys. Number 24, Fresno State. He's speaking it into existence again. We're going to get back there. Bye week must-dos. Wrap-up drills, yes. Taking proper angles on defense, 100% agree. Sherrod just showed why he should be the feature back. He has that second gear that our other running backs don't have. Gilliam is a great compliment as number 2 back, though. I totally agree. We're going to talk about running the ball right now. And then Bob says, you guys need to get on the official Bulldog broadcast. All right, Bob, I'm going to make a call. We're going to do it. All right. Rushing stats. Malik Sherrod, 24 carries, 133 yards. 131 yards, 3 touchdowns. Logan 5, we talked about. Elijah Gilliam had 3 carries for 2 yards. And then Jalen Gill had 1 carry for 1 yard. Malik Sherrod, absolute beast. We didn't talk about him enough when we ran through the social media responses. This guy was a stud. Our offensive line opened up the holes for him that we have not seen all year. We've talked about our run blocking, how we've struggled. Pass pro is you see more of it because we're getting sacked and things like that. It stands out more, I should say. But run blocking has been poor. This game, they did a great job. Utah State, I believe, is at the bottom when it comes to run defense in the conference. So this was the game to build up some confidence, get our O-line hitting people. They did that. 131 net yards for Malik Sherrod, 151 total yards on the ground for the team. Talk to me about Malik Sherrod and what you saw from him.
Yeah, this was a workhorse game for Malik. I mean, he hardly came out. Gilliam only got a handful of carries, and so obviously a 3 touchdown game is a really strong performance for a running back. And I think it was important that Fresno State was able to convert red zone opportunities into touchdowns. And so being able to succeed running the ball short yardage, I think is a really important thing for this team to be able to do. So I mean, Malik was making guys miss. He was falling forward, so getting a couple extra yards, and just overall did a really good job. He had made a really nice catch on the wheel route. I think that was maybe in the 4th quarter, And I mean, one, a really good throw from Logan under pressure. And thankfully the linebacker had his head turned, so he didn't see it coming. But, a really nice catch from Malik coming out of the backfield. I saw him pick up a couple, blitzes too. So I think overall he's, showing his ability to be the future back, like, the comment said. And, he should be out there for the bulk of the carries.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about getting Malik in space, and that's what they did. They ran him between the tackle and the guard. One time, it was one of his touchdowns. I mean, one touchdown was up the gut, untouched. That was great. And then big explosive plays from him. Get him outside, get him in space. He can make some people miss. I know last game against Wyoming, our running backs didn't force a missed tackle. This game, plenty of missed tackles. Let me get to you guys, and then we'll get to the wide receivers. Bob asks, do you think we could see Brandon Ramirez move back to the secondary because of this deep running back room? I don't know. I would say based off of our safety play, I would say it's more than likely. As a coach, I'm thinking about it. But if you're confident in your guys, I guess I don't know, because that leads me into the next question from Luis Moreno is, why didn't we see more of Braca? He's a solid tackler. I believe he statted one tackle. Braca had one tackle. I saw him in there, but they were moving guys in and out. So I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what our coaches do with Brandon Ramirez, and where are we going to see Braca? How are we going to see him used? Things like that. What are your thoughts, Caleb?
Yeah, at least on the safeties, they mentioned on the broadcast that Comstock was hurt last week, and that's why he didn't see much action. So I haven't heard anything else besides the CBS Sports guys talking about that, because we did see some more Comstock early in the game, and later in the game I noticed more Krishan Gordon out there. So I mean, maybe the coaching staff just likes Braca more in blitzing situations, because that's where he's had success so far this year, run stop and blitzing. So if they feel like another guy is going to be a little bit stronger in terms of pass coverage, that kind of makes sense, especially with how potent the Utah State pass game was. So overall, it seems like it's kind of a rotating, second safety spot. Clark's going to be in there, and I think kind of depending on situationally or whoever's playing better, it's either going to be Comstock, Braca, or Gordon. And ultimately, I guess Coach Coyle is probably the one calling those shots, because he's the safeties coach as well.
Right. Well, and Bob mentioned this in the comments I saw in the last video, and we forgot to mention it, and we've been moving fast today. But Bryson Donaldson, running back at CVC, committed to Fresno State. Was it last week, 2 weeks ago or so?
Yeah, last week.
Stud running back. And so they're making a good point in the chat that it's getting crowded in there. And Bryson is very good. Now, it would be terrifying to have Brandon Ramirez and Bryson Donaldson at running back, but I get it. And actually, as someone who, if I'm Brandon and I played safety and I want to get on the field, I might have to go to coach and say, hey, am I going to get on the field? If not, move me to safety. Because I know we're having injuries and we're moving guys in and out. I want to get on the field. So, but I'm pretty sure Brandon Ramirez is redshirting this year. Doesn't mean he can't get in a couple games, though, because he got 4 games.
Right.
All right. Sam Droid says more trick plays. And then Keith Bessinger said, dogs are winning due to exceptional coaching and grit. Play calls and key moments were legit. Double pass, shift, and swing pass to Sherrod. I had to throw that in there because I know I missed that on the last one. Okay, receiving, and I want to talk about the main thing that we haven't talked about yet, but numbers first. Trey Watson led the team in receptions with 5, 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josiah Freeman had 4 receptions for 75. Eric Brooks, 3 receptions for 57. Malik Sherrod had 3 for 35. Jalen Moss, 3 for 30. Jalen Gill, 2 for 19. Jake Boust, 1 for 9. Mac Delana, 1 for 7. Elijah Gilliam, 1 reception for 2 yards. We're spreading the ball around, sharing the love, spreading the love. Trey got all the touchdowns, though. Josiah Freeman made some huge catches. Mossed a guy. It's totally different game when you have a guy that's 6'3" out there going up and high pointing the ball. But he did have a drop. Brooks had a drop. Jalen Moss had a drop. Everybody was dropping balls out there. It was not what we're used to. And so I know they're going to be sitting at the jug machine this week, working on their hands. But I think the main story from the receiving room is Mac Delana got smacked in the head, got a concussion, and there was no call. There should have been targeting. It was clear targeting. Any contact, the rule is any contact to the neck or head is targeting. They could use their elbow or shoulder like the guy did, hit him in the head, done. I was watching a game yesterday, and they threw out a guy for a weaker hit than that. And then we saw the same guy who hit Mac hit Logan Fife, helmet to helmet, nothing. Unbelievable. And, I saw someone say, like, well, Mac's got to go down. Yes, we know, but that doesn't matter. You get hit in the head, you make the call, and the guy should be gone. And then also, Fife doesn't get hit in the head if that guy's out. So there's 2 targeting calls they missed. And Keith is making a good point. There's 4 straight targeting calls that have gone against Fresno State. Jax versus Nevada wasn't targeting, but stood. I don't remember that. I'll have to check that one. Wyoming targeted Keene, overturned. Delana hit, cheap shot, missed it. Targeting call on USU defensive end, overturned. I don't remember that one. Maybe is that the one for Fife?
Yeah.
It was the same guy that hit Delana, though. Yeah. And I was unbelievable. I don't know, Caleb. Tell me about it. What was going through? Don't tell me what you said about these refs, but
I mean, targeting in general is really frustrating, just because there's just a lot of gray area there with when to call it and what is targeting, and it seems like whenever the commenters on the game, the announcers, usually they're wrong about, or if they even have the rules expert come in, he's like, oh yeah, that's a textbook targeting play. This guy should be out of here. And then, the refs come back and it's overturned. So, I don't know. It's really frustrating. Obviously the cheap shot on Mac is probably the most egregious. And I'm sure that hopefully the league office can, review that, or conference office. I don't know if they can retroactively or, after the fact suspend someone, but I mean, there should be some sort of, disciplinary action done there. But at the same time, it is football, and it is a tough game. But when it's a deliberate cheap shot like that something has to be done about it.
Yeah. Bob says we could curse the refs on a Fresno State fan chant. Oh man. Yeah, it was bad. You hate to see anyone get hit in the head like that, and especially go unpunished. So, all right, let's talk about defense. Leading the team in tackles on defense was Phoenix Jackson and Dean Clark with 10 total tackles. Malachi Langley was next with 8. He also had a sack. Jacob Holmes, you mentioned, had 2. Devo Bridges had an interception that was kind of caused by Carlton Johnson hitting the guy. I don't know what they were doing. They're trying to hand it off. They were confused. The ball was thrown to two guys in the area. They didn't know what to do. Carlton popped it in the air. Devo picked it. And then Maurice Norris had the pick to seal the game. Defensively, we've been talking about it. We gave up way too much, especially through the air. Excuse me. And however, when it mattered, we got it done. Thoughts on the defense?
Well, we'll reiterate Phoenix Jackson, really strong performance, and it's good to have that depth at linebacker. And we've kind of touched on that throughout the season. That there are some guys just kind of waiting for their opportunity to play, and so hopefully Lavelle is able to rest up on this bye week, because we're definitely going to need him down the stretch. I think that there was a couple of missed interception opportunities for the defense, like we've mentioned, but Maurice Norris came up big when it counted. And I think he's been one of the probably underrated players on this defense. I mean, he plays pretty much the whole game. He's usually covering someone. I mean, he tends to get, in a penalty or two every game for pass interference. I think he had one early in this game, but, he's just a guy that's playing hard. He's, in there making tackles and, sealed it with an interception. So, yeah, of all the ones to make sure and grab, I think, that final play was, an important one.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw in the press conference, he said, I gave up that long one on a double move, and I never get beat on double moves. He was frustrated with himself. I love it. I love the confidence. Mo's a good guy. So he said he wanted to be the guy to make the play and seal this game, and he was. And he said he couldn't believe that the guy threw the ball because he was right on him. I couldn't believe it either. I mean, you watch it in slow-mo. He's not open. Mo had him locked down. But thank you. So, yeah, Maurice Norris, stud. And against Nevada, I think we saw him go down twice with an injury. He gets beat up. He plays the entire game, like you said. And against Wyoming, did the same thing. And big time player, Phoenix Jackson. Keith says 28 snaps, 10 tackles. That's crazy. So good for Phoenix Jackson. We haven't. I don't think we've called him out all year, and so for him to do that, that's awesome. I love to see. I like to mention as many names as we can, because that means we're doing well. All right. Anything else on defense, Caleb? I think we're good. Special teams. Let's talk about special teams, shall we?
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on special teams?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that it was a decent day for Carson King. There was, I think majority of the punts were from, kind of midfield-ish. So, not really booming punt situations, except for maybe one early. Maybe I'm misremembering there. But, overall, got the kicks off and, no real issues there. Eric Brooks had a couple punt returns, a couple that I probably would have preferred he just fair catch, but it seems like he's out there just trying to make a play, which is good. And man, it seemed like we almost had a kickoff return with Jalen Gill. So what were your thoughts on the kickoff returns?
No, I thought I was going to be dancing. I was hoping I would be dancing. He caught him by the legs, and it was a bummer. But I'm with you. I thought Carson had a good game. We didn't have any muffed punts, no fumbles. We almost broke one with Jalen Gill. I thought we were good. I mean, Dylan Lynch didn't. I mean, he was perfect. He was 4 for 4 on PATs. And was he 1 for 1 on field goals? I'm trying to remember.
Yep. He just had one short one, 26-yarder, and he nailed it. So, yeah, overall, another positive day for Dylan, and a bunch of kickoffs just through the end zone. So, hopefully we're through with just trying to scheme up kickoffs and trying to land it like right on the goal line. Let's just not even mess around with that. Just let Dylan kick it through the end zone, because he's capable of doing that. Yep.
Totally agree. There was one thing on here. Oh, they're in the presser.
Mm-hmm.
Their head coach mentioned that Mo was holding on the game-winning interception. And I saw that, and Bob mentioned it. And he said, it's crybaby. What? He's doing crybaby. And I saw him after the play. He ripped off his headphones and was doing this, tugging and everything. No. Look, that's what happens. The football gods punish you. 2 targeting calls weren't called. That's what's going to happen. Sorry. And Mo is just better than that guy. Faster. He baited the quarterback. It was a good play by Mo. And it wasn't holding, by the way. I watched it. So, anyways. Yeah, no, special teams was great. I was really happy with it. All right, Caleb, let's get to our play of the game and then our player of the game. But first, you have some sponsors for us.
Yeah, Caleb, are you looking for something to do the week of homecoming? Because that's coming up.
I always am.
If you are, the Fresno State Alumni Association has you covered. Wednesday the 25th, they're unveiling the Victor E. Bulldog statue. That's exciting. Thursday night is a homecoming alumni mixer at the Smith Camp Alumni House. And Friday night is the homecoming takeover at Crow and Wolf. That's fun, cool little spot in Clovis.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we will be there doing a little live podcast. So definitely come out, and if you don't feel like your voice is fully being heard in the live chat, you can show up to Crow and Wolf and put it over the air. So another fun opportunity there. And then finally, Saturday the 28th, you can join the alumni tailgate at the Neutral Zone in the White Lot. So there's something for everyone the week of homecoming. Let's learn more about the purchase of a homecoming game bundle. Visit alumni.fresnostate.edu/homecoming. So that's coming up. Dogs on the bye week this week, but UNLV's coming to town, and it's going to be a really exciting game. So good matchup for homecoming. So yeah, look out for the Fresno State Alumni Association there. And secondly, we want to thank Manage X for their support of Beware of Bulldogs. They're a full-service property management company in the Fresno and Clovis area. They service single-family homes, small multifamily, office, and industrial properties. And they've been in Fresno since 1978, and they're big supporters of Fresno State. So if you need property management services, you can check out their website, managex.net, and you can learn more about what they have to offer.
All right. Thank you, Caleb. Play of the game. There are a lot of big plays this game from us and from Utah State, but specifically from Fresno State. What is your play of the game?
My play of the game, it's got to be the Jalen Gill to Trey Watson touchdown pass. As soon as I saw them shifting, I was like, yes, trick play. We are going to score here. And they drawn up perfectly. Trey was going to be open. Like I was yelling at the TV. I was like, throw it to Trey. And it was a really good throw. And that's really tough too. And Jalen, he's catching it and immediately throwing it. And, I'm sure he probably wasn't holding the ball quite right. Cause if you've thrown a football, you got to get the right grip on it. But overall, just a really good throw and an even better catch by Trey, holding on to it, getting, crushed in the end zone there. So I think that was a huge play. And, we've seen some good, tricky plays like that from Coach McCann. And so he seems like, he's knowing when to pull the trigger on some of the trickier plays kind of in, close to red zone area to try to capitalize for a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. This was a great play. I'll pick a different play, but I just got to talk about that play. Perfect timing. The timing of these plays were great, executed to perfection. And I can't say enough about Trey Watson, man. I'm a little biased because he came on the show and we talked, and he's a great guy, and his parents, we talked to his parents and his sister. They were on the show. Great people. I love that family. And for him to have success, I love it. All right. My play of the game, I'm going to go with, this is tough. I'm going to go with Malik Sherrod's big run. Yeah. His long run. I think that I'm going to say this was the play that showed our O-line and our coaches, our entire team, that, hey, we can move the ball on the ground this game. Why don't we dominate on the ground? We dominated air and ground game, but we're going to be able to move the ball on the ground. Let's run it. And this was Malik's way of saying, I'm back. Let's do this thing. So I'm really happy for Malik. Finally have this breakout game that we know he's capable of. And I was really happy for him. I'm seeing, of course, the game ceiling pick. We have to talk about that one as play of the game, because that was a great play by Mo. What else have I seen in here? Play of the game, a deep fade to Josiah Freeman. He mossed the guy. Good throw by Fife and put us in field goal position to win. There's a lot of them. So is there anything else you can think of?
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered it. But yeah, I think it is good that we mentioned a couple of Logan's throws because, I mean, he did make some impressive throws that, I don't know if last year, he would have had the confidence or ability to make. So I think that's just part of his, maturing process and just, getting a little bit better as a thrower.
Yeah, there were so many good plays this game. Fife was. We're going to get to our player of the game, Calvin. Remember, if you don't pick Fife, this podcast is a fraud. But before we get to our Beware Bulldogs player of the game, our last sponsors, let me tell you about Eastie's Woodshop. Eastie's Woodshop. You need to check them out for all your custom woodworking and home decor needs. Let them bring your ideas to life. Check out shopew.store to send them a message and for their line of personalized gifts this holiday season. Use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. So head to shopew.store and use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. And last but not least, Givali Winery. I mentioned I was drinking Givali Zinfandel. Givali Winery, local winery located on Biola Avenue, just north of Shaw. They're open Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5, weekdays by appointment only. They have wine, chocolate, and cigar night coming up this Saturday from 6 to 9. So there will be wine, chocolate, and cigars for sale. It's a good time. Bring your buddies out. Even if you're not a wine drinker, it goes with cigars. They'll find something for you. And last week we had our crush party over at Givali Winery. So everybody pulled an I Love Lucy, jumped in the trough, and was jumping up and down on grapes. And I was there. It was pretty fun. So that's Givali Winery, Ziveli, located on Biola, just north of Shaw. Saturday and Sundays, noon to 5. So thank you to Givali Winery and Eastie's Woodshop for their support of Beware Bulldogs podcast. All right, Caleb. Player of the game. Are you going with Logan Fife? Do you want me to go first, or how do you?
I will go first. Before we were influenced by that comment, I had written down on my notepad Logan Fife. So that is I think things could have gone a lot worse if Logan didn't play the way he did. He didn't turn the ball over, converted some key third downs, and he was able to run the offense, and he made some really important throws. So I think without him, it could have been different. If it's a hobbled Mikey, I think it's a different game too. So overall, huge game from Logan Fife, and so really happy for him too that he was able to execute that.
I totally agree. I think Logan Fife is player of the game, and I think right behind him, kind of a 1B, is Malik Sherrod.
Mm-hmm.
I think you would have to give him a 1B sort of deal. So Logan Fife, and I'm throwing in Malik Sherrod as well. Huge bounce back game for the Dogs. Keith Bessinger wants to know, if you guys have questions, throw them in. I got nothing else on the outline, but we'll keep going. If you throw something, a bigger meltdown, Colorado or Boise? Hashtag suffer Boise suffer. So Colorado blew a 29-0 lead against Stanford. I stayed up and watched that game. That was crazy. And then Boise blew a 20-point lead against Colorado State and lost on a Hail Mary. Caleb, bigger meltdown.
Probably Boise, just with how quickly it unraveled. The Stanford game, I didn't watch it, but just kind of looking through the game tracker, I mean, it was kind of the whole second half. It just unraveled for Colorado, and you're a Stanford guy, so I'll let you talk more about that. But it was just good to see Boise just crumble, and I mean, I don't think their defense is as good as it was before. I mean, they can't figure out who their quarterback is. Their only bright spot is, Genty at running back. I mean, he's a stud and tearing it up. But besides that, they got a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Boise. They know how to choke. That's for sure. What Stanford did was impressive, and that wide receiver, A.O. Manor, Holy cow. That guy was a beast, and he did it all on Travis Hunter. You can't, it's too hard to play two ways. He got crushed on offense. He took some big hits, and then you got to go guard a guy that's listed at 6'3". So he's probably our size, Caleb, a 6'2", 6'1", and then Travis Hunter's listed at 6'1", but he is not 6'1". That's for sure. So I mean, that was brutal. That was also a meltdown. But Boise, for sure. There were Bob wants to know if we can get Jackson Moore on this week. I will work on that, Bob. Robert, Sports God, made things right this week. Last week, my Dogs lost and my Dodgers lost, so he made things right this week. And Andrew Wren says, "What's up, Andrew? I hope Avalos keeps his job one more year so he can do the full route." So, if you guys were around last year, we have our guy that does a get-to-knows for Boise, and he's a hoot. He's a lot of fun. And I mentioned to him, I don't think Avalos is the guy. And he was very adamant, Avalos is the guy. He's going to get things right. I'm going to ask him the same question this year. And let's see. We're going to have that conversation. We'll see what he says now. It should be fun. Hey, you got any thoughts, Caleb?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I hope this is the crumbling of the Boise Empire, and they end up back in FCS because their TV market is so bad too that they just get kicked out of the Mountain West because Oregon State and Washington State end up in the Mountain West. Let's bring back that conference realignment talk, huh? But
there we go.
But oh man, I don't know. I think that this was just kind of bound to happen, falling off, the huge cliff that, Coach Peterson, took them up. I mean, it was impossible to sustain their level of success forever. So it was bound to happen. And I'm just glad that we are alive to witness it.
I see hashtag keep Avalos in the chat. It's beginning. Remaining schedule. Which team worries you guys the most? UNLV, Boise, San Jose, New Mexico, San Diego State. Wow, man. I mean, currently, teams playing well, you would think UNLV, but I'm going to say Boise with Ashton Jainty and Helani. Those guys perform week after week, and if they watch film on us and figure out how to move the ball on the ground against us, I don't think they can because I think we do a pretty good job, better than in the past. But I think if teams just watch our Wyoming film, we could be in trouble. But they're going to have a quarterback that can perform at a high level like Peasley did. And I don't know if anyone else has that. Maybe San Jose, but they don't have the weapons. So I'm going to say Boise right now. What about you, Caleb?
Yeah, I haven't watched enough of UNLV to really assess, how dangerous they are. I mean, I just looked at the box score from their last game, and they aren't throwing the ball all over the place. They're kind of ground dominant, at least in the last game, based on the box score. So I think that that's something Coach Coyle can get the right personnel on the field to contain. Boise's always going to play us tough, and it's always a battle. Whether we're playing them at home or in Boise. So I think I probably have to put Boise 1, then probably UNLV, then San Jose, then I guess San Diego State, and then New Mexico. I don't think the other, after UNLV and Boise, I think Fresno State will be okay. But with Cordero at San Jose State, I mean, preseason offensive player of the year. So they're going to be dangerous, but we saw it last year. Coach Coyle was able to solve Cordero, keep him contained, and as long as we're able to do that, we should have the Spartans under control.
I agree. And Bob's question for us: do you think that the line played better this week? He thinks with Sampson at center made a big difference. He was a 4-star center in high school. Yes, they played way better this week, and I'm hoping that their confidence takes them throughout the rest of the season, and we work on, healing up this week and preparing for the rest of this week. So I'm excited for this O-line. I think there's a lot of potential. Let's just put it that way for our O-line. Anything else, Caleb?
I don't
Did you
think
want to
so.
answer that question?
I think you pretty much covered it. So I don't think I have anything else to add. So overall, a win's a win. I'm glad the Dogs, started the new winning streak. So we got to keep this one rolling for the next, year, hopefully, so we can just keep that streak going. But yeah, good bounce back game. Logan Fife, big step up for him, and hopefully the defense can keep patching it together, because that might be what holds the team back, and that's what we were most confident about coming into the season.
When are we going to start covering basketball? Good question, Bob. It's coming up very soon. We're working on some basketball stuff. We are going to be covering every game this year. So there will be a recap of every single basketball game, if you can believe that. I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're going to do it. So yes, that is the plan for basketball season. And we should be getting people on here to talk about basketball season ASAP, as well as the bye week. We have people coming on to talk Fresno State football. So bye week should be fun. I'm excited for this team to get some rest. It couldn't come at a better time. I'm excited for this team. We will see you guys at the next home game, or Friday before the home game at Crow and Wolf. We will be there. So make sure you come check us out. And thank you to all our sponsors. And please stay safe, stay healthy, finish up that drink and enjoy it. I don't know what the score is on the NFL game. Is it still going on? But have fun watching that game. God bless. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.